morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I am Lisa Schwartz, ITSM Academy. I have the pleasure today of introducing a webinar presenter who is new to the Academy. I have to say that Saaniya came into my bubble, if you will, because I found her amazing blogs and I started reading her blogs, and one of them, this one, I thought was so good. I reached out to ask if she would present on our webinar, and she very kindly said yes. And then as we were getting situated this morning, I found out, and I'm going to quote her, my first book was published yesterday, which I am about to place an order for. So the first thing I'm going to throw into chat for y'all is her blog. I very strongly recommend that you follow. And here also is the book link. If you enjoy what you hear today, which I know you will, please feel free to support a fellow IT service management professional. I'll be honest, a female professional makes it even better for me. So there is the book link. Saaniya, I'm so glad to have you today. As I said, we like to get started right on time. So I am going to pass it to you to introduce yourself, take us away, and I'm going to come off camera. At the end, I'll be back on, and we'll do the question and answer session together.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Very good morning to you all once again. Thank you for joining the webinar today. Thanks, Lisa, Nina, ITSM Academy, for inviting me over, making me a part of this beautiful journey. And I am really excited to, share my insights, my journey, my experience with you all. Now, just give me a moment and I directly start with, talking more about myself and then further more about the topic of the day. Okay, so moving further, I'll introduce myself. I'm Saaniya Chugh. I'm a ServiceNow enthusiast, a community builder, mentor, and kind of an upcoming author. Well, my book just got published yesterday, so I can call myself officially in the author era now. I have a decade of experience in the IT service management industry. Started off my career back in 2015 as an ESM and ITSM tools administrator with Tata Consultancy Services in New Delhi, India. Switched jobs, roles, but stayed pretty much in the same industry, worked with clients across the globe, and fast forward to today, I'm working as a senior technical consultant with the ServiceNow Impact team in Montreal, Canada. Apart from, usual routine work, I also host ServiceNow community meetups, both in Toronto and Montreal. I also guide newcomers, career switchers into the ServiceNow ecosystem because most of my career has been with the platform. You can also find my blogs in Hacker Noon. There's my LinkedIn newsletter. So in case, anybody is interested out there. And in my free time, there's a little fun fact. I do not have any gray areas. So in my free time, I am either in the gym or completely stuck to my couch. Okay, so let's get the ball rolling and start talking about the topic of the day. So the topic, as you all would have seen, was that ITSM is no longer the boring plumbing of tech organizations. So why boring? Why plumbing? Let's talk a little about it. Plumbing, as you all know, it's something which is very important to keep your infrastructure up and working. Nobody would want leaking pipes, taps, anything like that. Similarly, we have a similar perception for ITSM as well. We need things to keep issues at bay. We need things to, keep our businesses up and running. But have you ever seen everybody who's too excited for a plumbing job that, yeah, my plumber's gonna come today and all the leaking pipes will be fixed? Wow, that's gonna bring in so much of change. No, that really does not happen. But people understand the fact it is an important aspect, it is an important job, but it's not really that interesting. Similarly, we have that for the ITSM as well. It is one of those core processes to keep businesses up and running, but it's not something which can be called as very transformative or very strategic. And here we are today to talk about the perceived notion and the actual position of ITSM in organizations. Now, we as IT leaders, I think it is our responsibility to change this notion about what ITSM is thought about in the organizations and bring it as an actual strategic powerhouse for all of my organizations. Now, I would like to talk about, why does ITSM feel outdated? But before we talk about it, let's run a quick poll, or actually the first poll of the day. So, Nina, would you be able to pull the poll? I can stop sharing until then.
Yeah, we actually had the poll up, and I
Okay.
thought you were going to transition to ending the poll. So if you haven't answered yet, please do. But I just corrupted the data a little bit, but that's life in the real time, isn't it?
That's okay. That's absolutely okay. So, how are our numbers like? Let me see.
So looking pretty similar to the first round, and in the background, maybe Nina can see if she can get to what we shut off the first time. But where we're sitting now, and I would
Mhm.
say about half had answered the first time and half answered this time. So again, everyone, I apologize. Let me end and share the results.
Okay.
And
Okay, perfect. We actually have good numbers here. So, every time we run this poll, two and three, they are the most common ones, but I'm delighted to see a tie between one and three as well this time. So, I'll spend a moment, talk about these questions, and then, we'll switch back to our presentation. So, for those of you who have selected one purely operational, I really appreciate your honesty there. There's absolutely no harm in being operational today, but we just have to understand the fact that the future of ITSM is strategic. You have a long road to go, but now, because we have so many new capabilities coming in, ITSM is evolved by heaps and bound. There is a lot of things for you to explore and to adapt purely in alignment with your business goals. For those of you who have selected two, you've already hit that sweet spot where you are slowly moving towards the strategic aspects. You can use your operational excellence as a springboard, and then eventually make your way towards strategy. For three, as well as for four, there's one thing that we need to understand: we're doing good, we're moving towards the strategic side. The only thing that now that we need to focus on is whatever we do is actually perceived, heard by the leadership. If in case I want to put in ITSM as a strategic initiative, if I want to showcase my leadership that okay, IT service management is something that can impact the entire enterprise, my area of thought, my road mapping, my maturity model should be in a way that it aligns itself naturally with the business strategies. The leadership should not just see it as a reporting set, or just a set of metrics that they receive from you on a monthly or quarterly basis, but those numbers, they should reflect your journey and how does that journey bind into the overall business objectives. Thank you. Now I'm just going to go back to our presentation here. Okay. So, why does ITSM feel outdated? We've talked about boring. We'll talk about outdated now. I'll give you an example here. So, 8 months ago, I was working with a consulting firm, and the firm said that we are running on a legacy tool, and we think it's time that we upgrade our tools so that things become more efficient. Definitely makes sense. They started following the standard processes, opening up RFPs, talking to different vendors, understanding, measuring different tools. They finally settled on one particular tool, a particular platform. Good. Next thing that they had to do was migrate their historic data, their information from the legacy tool onto this newly procured platform. Spend time, money, resources, everything there, and all the data was moved. After everything happened, let's say 6, 8, 10 months down the line, after everything happened, now the next thing is the users and the leadership, they both say the same thing: things have not really changed. They should have changed, right? We moved in from a historic tool to a completely new tool. I automated a few processes. Then why are things not improving? Why is the experience still okay? It was because we think that, when we switch tools, we are automatically upgrading our processes. New tools, new technology, of course, it helps you to automate your processes, but it does not really make your processes more efficient. Sometimes, we perceive automation with efficiency. To a degree, that is correct. But if in case, you have all the processes in your existing platform or in your existing organization which are clumsy, that goes through a series of unnecessary approvals, hit roadblockers, even when you automate those processes, it's just that the things will happen quickly, but they still won't be efficient. It is still going to cause an impact on the overall user experience. So we have to first focus on our data, on our design, on our processes, and then comes the tool. That's one of the key factors why your ITSM still feels outdated. Next thing, we have our legacy perceptions. What legacy? Success today is still measured by the number of tickets that are closed. Okay, fine. My IT service desk, it closed 1,000 tickets the last month. This month, it closed maybe 1,200 tickets. But are we really understanding what those numbers are meaning? Were there more tickets because there were more issues, or because I had a bigger backlog? We are calculating failures. The number of ticket closures are actually the failures where my users are creating requests, incidents, whatever it may be. But what we are not calculating is the friction. We are not focusing on user experience. And if in case we just focus on those metrics and not on user experiences, my ITSM will still be perceived as something which is there only for driving operational efficiency. You need to keep user journeys, customer journeys in mind if in case you want to bring in this new ITSM in play. Siloed operations, that's another thing. Have you ever seen operations and strategy sitting together? That, yeah, go ahead, help me with your pain areas, and we'll put that out in the larger business objectives. That never really does happen. When in fact, your service desk, your users, in fact, your service desk, they are like the frontline workers who can help you understand what are the users' pain areas. They can help you understand how they can help your customers better, which again is an indirect metric for customer build and customer retention. But do we even consider that? No. And again, I'm not saying that, strategy and operations should be sitting and chatting together the entire day, but there should be certain processes in play where, these metrics or whatever information operations can provide you are tied back into the overall business strategy. Evolution of ITSM. Of course, everything needs an evolution, right? So does the ITSM. 1990s, we were doing reactive firefighting. Made sense back then. Technology was fragile, it was expensive. Come 2000s, we started focusing on standardization, building maturity models. ITIL came into play. And then 2010s and the world today, things have changed a lot. Technology, it has really exploded. Cloud, SaaS, PaaS, hybrid, edge, AI, so many things have come up. AI is kind of the buzzword today. Every meetup that you go to, every conference that you attend, it's tied back to AI one way or the other. User expectations have changed. They want everything to be done as easily as possible with minimal amount of contact, minimal amount of time. Everything has to be like that, Netflix level ease. I don't want to do anything, just give me suggestions and put on anything, like that. Business demands have also changed. They just don't want work to be done. They want work to be done in a very sped up manner. Work has become more agile now, but we cannot forget the governance aspect as well. So, overall, everything has changed by heaps and bounds, and ITSM has to keep pace. So that's why ITSM has this whole new role to play that we call as the modern ITSM. We have to move away from a ticket driven approach to a more experience focused approach. By that, I do not mean that, okay, we should completely avoid creating tickets. It's not like that. But your tickets will show you the amount of work that your teams are doing. but you have to focus on user journeys, user sentiments, the amount of times frictions occurred, what issues were there where you experienced friction with the users, so that you can, build larger objectives such as customer retention, customer build. Reactive to predictive. Being predictive is another ROI that you can achieve when you start focusing on a couple of technical implementations, such as there are technologies coming up with predictive intelligence frameworks. There are capabilities available such as incident summarization, incident categorization. All those things, they are essential for an organization to drive effective ROI from the ITSM. The choice is yours. See, I say the best incidents were the ones that never really happened. Things happened, we predicted them early, and everything was working as expected. The users never saw it. So that is the kind of trust that ITSM or your processes should be able to establish in your organization. But then every organization has this choice. There are organizations who find ROI in being more experience focused. They can follow things such as, introducing design changes, introducing these virtual chatbots, all of those things that can help reduce friction, that can make the user experience more easy, more fast paced. Then the ones that find ROI in being predictive, of course, you have a range of capabilities that you can introduce in your platform to be more predictive. Then your ITSM shouldn't be just like, okay, the IT department, they have this tool where we can log tickets. No, it shouldn't be like that. Your ITSM platform should be recognized enterprise wide. That's the role your ITSM should play. A very simple example here: onboarding workflow. A new user, a new hire gets onboarded. There are so many departments that get to work: finances, legal, HR primarily, then IT primarily. So, all of these different units, all of these departments can leverage the same workflow coming in from your ITSM platform and get their work done. So imagine, IT, of course, will remain the owner. Just the way, let's say we're not asking HR to give us the ownership for Workday. They remain the primary owners. Similarly, IT remains the primary owners of any of those ITSM platforms, but all these departments can become different users or resolvers within the same platform. If I am onboarding a new user, first things first, a ticket can get created automatically. Then there are things such as, you have to procure a laptop, set up the laptop for the user. Those are the things within the same workflow that your IT is managing. Then you have to create user records, add in salary information, all those things. Same workflow, same tickets, same records, but your HR is doing the work now. So, see, the same platform has the ability to touch base the entire organization. How do I find my ROI in there? Now, let's say HR is using a different platform, we are using a different platform, legal is using another platform. That's just added cost there. Plus, of course, there's more user training needed there. There are different set of tool administrators that you need there. So you're saving up on cost both in terms of resources as well as from the tool perspective. Plus, you are increasing the adoption and utilization of something for which you're paying the enterprise. It's time that we move from more siloed to a more strategic approach. That's something that I've just talked about. That is the only thing that we can achieve in order to make ITSM as the new strategic powerhouse. Nobody is going to give us a seat at the strategic table. We have to be more open, more vocal about the things that we are doing so that the leadership realizes its actual value. Next thing that we talk about is the impact. But before I jump into this slide, it's time for another poll. So Lisa, Nina, if in case you could pull out the second poll for us. Okay.
If you can, please put in your, we'll leave it open for another like 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Because yep, more people are doing it. I will tell you, in the number one position so far. Do you want to take a guess?
Hmm, I think it should be the first one.
No, actually, it is expanding service management beyond IT.
Oh, wow. I actually did
Yeah.
not think that.
Oh, now the first one's neck and neck. So
Uh,
we're at 75%. I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, almost 80%. I'm gonna end the poll now and we will share the results.
sure.
And you're right, number one came in first place.
See, okay, so when we talk about impact, of course, the incident resolution, reduced downtime, this comes up as the biggest impact because these are the things that you see even on operational basis. Even if, we do not want to talk about strategy right now, faster incident resolution and reduced downtime, it directly is a big impact of ITSM in your organization. Of course, we just talked about, leveraging XLAs. XLAs are going to help you a great deal to improve your user experience. That's something that you should consider looking into. By that, we nowhere mean that SLAs should not be used. I think it's kind of the future that SLAs and XLAs can run hand in hand. Cost savings and operational efficiency, these things come in with more automation coming in play. You start leveraging the different kinds of automation capabilities we have predictive intelligence, we have documentational intelligence, so on and so forth. Then of course there are the chatbots which help you with more easier incident deflection, self-serve options. Those are again the things where you invest at one place and you save things at the other place. Expanding service management beyond IT, of course, that's something where I'm very happy seeing the numbers here, 24%. That's great, but that is a big impact that you can cause via your ITSM platform. You would have seen that a lot of ITSM platform, they are moving towards just not being an ITSM platform. They're moving towards more sort of ERP solutions, enterprise wide solutions, and that is the way to go. And for those of you who haven't seen a major impact yet, we're all there. Feel free to take in insights from this presentation. Feel free to talk to your peers, see how your industry competitors are doing, and you know, the road ahead has a lot of opportunities. Okay, so now I'll switch back to the presentation. The first impact that I'm going to talk about is around issue resolution. We did see that, most of you selected issue resolution as being one of the biggest impacts. Issue resolution can be improved in a wide variety of ways, one of them being with the introduction of virtual chatbots. All the different platforms, or at least the most common ones, whether bigger or smaller ones, they have all been introducing their own virtual chatbots. If not their own virtual chatbots, they are coming in with integration capabilities with the different companies that create these virtual chatbots. How do these help? I mean, imagine, right? Your service desk doesn't have to sit there 24/7, but your chatbot can. You can talk to the chatbot any point in time. It could either resolve your issues by creating a ticket, suggesting you with the best possible knowledge articles or self serve articles, which of course leads to easier issue resolution. Then there are predictive capabilities that can be introduced in these chatbots, such as incident categorization, incident summarization, which also helps your service desk to serve your customers better. So again, that not only leads to easier or faster issue resolution, it also improves your employee satisfaction because now I'm not just focusing on the experience for my customers, I'm also focusing on the experience that I provide to my employees, which further, supports my customers better. 60% L1 workload is now being handled by AI. I'm just going to talk about it in the next slide. So AI is the buzzword, AI is the future. We all understand that, right? And you have to understand, or you have to think about this fact that ITSM is like the gold mine of data. You just don't have operational data, you also have emotional data. You have your surveys where you can understand what my users are thinking, what are the most common paths my users are taking in order to create incidents. Are my users really leveraging my self-serve articles? I can see information in a wide variety of ways. How's my adoption been for different things that I have introduced in the platform? It could be something like, let's assume uh, I go ahead, I deploy a chatbot, but my users, they still want to talk to a live agent. There, what would I do? I would try to increase the user training. If in case, my users, they have already started leveraging the chatbots, the adoption rate is high, then I can start leveraging my existing workforce into different strategic activities. I can, cross train them, cross skill them for another set of work. So that's again, leveraging my same set of resources for multiple activities. So again, do not consider ITSM or any of the reports or data that you see as just mere metrics for the number of incidents resolved, or how many times the users were frustrated. Think of that information as to how you could leverage that data into different processes, into different work areas that we have to offer. And now we have one primary piece of help here, which is called as AI has been, stayed with us for quite some time. We started off with predictive intelligence, moved towards conversational intelligence, came in task intelligence, document intelligence. Then we had generative AI, which further is now evolved into AI agents, basically the autonomous AI. So it's not that AI is a concept of today. Operational intelligence existed a few years from now as well, but it's just that we've started realizing its true potential. And whether we agree or not, it's the organizations who start thinking of leveraging AI into the platform, who start thinking of ITSM as strategic enablers. They are the ones who would be in profit tomorrow. I'm not saying that just because I said it, you start looking into the AI capabilities. There's, of course, a process, a journey, a road that you have to follow. But AI is the future. So we have to build a roadmap so that we are ready for the future. Virtual agent chatbots, we just talked about how conversational intelligence can help both your users and your workforce alike. Predictive risk analysis. The best incidents are the ones that never happen. Just talked about it. Not just this, so there are approval processes that come in play with your AI agents. There's a degree of things that your agents can do, but we always keep humans in loop. It's not just that, because I want the approval to go via me. Humans are also kept into loop because there's a degree of accountability that we need. Consider these approvals as potential risk areas where proper decision making is needed, or effective user based decision making is needed. It could be anything related to customer trust, it could be anything related to overall governance. It could also be something that an approval, let's say, it could be something very technical. Let's say I need to give a user the access to a particular platform or to a particular software. There is still a degree of risk involved there, depending on how critical or how confidential that platform or that software is. So you can again leverage this to understand the risks involved, which is why humans are kept in the loop at every approval process. So both these things, they go hand in hand. Then there are my Gen AI summaries and KBs. Gen AI, generative AI, as we say, it helps both your users and your customers alike. Imagine, I was working on a particular customer case. My shift ends, my colleague comes in, and the customer still needs support. Now, my colleague would need to go through everything, all the conversations that I had with my customer, everything that I updated on the ticket. Or what my colleague can do is, if in case I have these Gen AI capabilities, my colleague can directly go ahead, leverage it to produce a summary of everything that happened for that particular case. Would make their jobs way easier. So there comes in employee satisfaction. My KBs should be like, those self-serve articles that my customers can refer at any point in time. Of course, again, now maintaining the authenticity, maintaining the data present in the KBs is my responsibility. It is not my AI's responsibility. Just like automation, AI agents, or otherwise the other AI capabilities, they are there to make your processes efficient. They're not there to make it more cleaner in terms of the data. That is always on humans. That is a handshake that we need to understand and that we need to do before we implement any of these capabilities. There are so many customers that I talk to. They're like, okay, you know what? This is not working. This feature is crap. Why are we using this? It's not producing the exact results. You always have to start from square one. First, see how clean your data is. Are you ready for that particular capability or not? It's not that because you have purchased a particular capability, maybe you're a very big organization, you procured all the AI capabilities, but are you ready for it? Understand what goals would your AI achieve, which are the areas where it should be leveraged. If I pick a particular area, is that particular component ready for AI or not? Is my data clean? Would that data training that would be done for that particular capability, would that be clean enough or not? Otherwise it would be just garbage in, garbage out. If my AI models, they get trained on bad data, they are going to produce bad results. So all these things, the future of ITSM is AI, but we need human intervention. We need a handshake between both processes and AI. We need a handshake between both humans and AI in order to make this happen more effectively. Next thing is our experience. Experience is the new uptime. SLAs can tell me if something is being used or not, if something is available or not. My XLAs can tell me if something was useful or not. Now, like I'll give you an example here. Let's say my VPN. VPN has an uptime of 99.9%. But if I have to spend 4 minutes, if I have to spend three MFA login attempts just to connect to the VPN, how's my journey like? Ah, it's not worth it. So my XLAs go miserably down there. That is why you cannot just measure your success by the number of pings. You have to measure your success or your failure by the digital journeys. Even our organization, we create customer journeys. We create our employee based journeys. Our employee based journeys, they're more focused towards our learning and development. But that is how you measure success. I have been talking about friction often. I've talked about friction throughout the presentation because friction is as important as failure. There is no like very concrete way to measure friction, but you have to read between the lines. You have to figure out those gray areas. When you improve on that friction, your failures eventually are going to reduce. And sometimes these smaller changes they lead to bigger impact. Example, let's say I'm a user. There was some issue, my issue got fixed, I got a workaround for my issue, but I'm not really that happy. Maybe I throw in a 2 in the 2 out of 5 in my customer satisfaction survey. But if my chatbot or my service desk agent, they were able to gauge that friction based on my conversation, things could have had been better. I'm not saying I would have got a better resolution. I might have still got the same workaround that I got this time. But when my employee or when my chatbot was able to gauge that friction, I was like, okay, there was a degree of empathy involved here. So I might give them a 3 or 4 in my customer survey. That okay, I don't really appreciate the resolution that was given to me, but I still kind of understand your point of view too. And of course, when we keep humans in play, your service desk agents, they'll be able to gauge that friction. But will they be able to measure it? No. It is for those measuring that we have to introduce certain reports, certain metrics in play. You can, if in case you're using your chatbots, There are things such as sentiment analysis. Capabilities such as sentiment analysis can be introduced for your chatbots. Now, that sentiment analysis reports can be directly populated on your own platforms. ITSM platforms, they're coming up with these capabilities. It's not that you have to buy a new platform, it's just that you have to look for solutions within your existing platform. Sometimes, even if there are no direct capabilities, there are lots of integration capabilities that different platforms have to offer. So, having said that about friction, let's say I introduce sentiment analysis within my chatbot, within my virtual agent. It will be able to pick up my user's emotion and be able to serve it better. Again, I'm not talking about whether the resolution provided to the user was an exact resolution or was it just a workaround, but right now I'm focused on the user experience. Would my user be like that, what, I really want to, come back, or would my user would be like, no, I don't want to do it altogether? Sometimes what happens is you get so frustrated talking to a chatbot that you're like, what, I just want to talk to an actual agent. I don't want to talk to this chatbot altogether. Things happen, right? So it is, as an IT manager, it is not only your job to see how many tickets were closed and how many tickets are open, what was your mean time to resolve those tickets. You have to focus on user experiences too. That is where you can drive strategy, because one of the goals, one of my ROIs, one of my business outcomes would be customer retention. It is going to come via these experiences. The modern ITSM skill set. So we have been talking about the fact that we have to, break paths with our legacy ITSM and switch gears towards the modern ITSM, the new ITSM. So I was working with this one IT manager. She was kind of the manager for our team. But as I started talking to her more and more, I realized that originally she wasn't from the IT background. She actually came in from this hospitality background, and she had her own perception on, serving the customers. So she was never into these reports, metrics, Excel sheets. What she used to tell us was that don't just look at your data. Your data should be able to tell a story. When I'm going and talking to someone, I should not need to tell them that, look, this is the work my team has done. It should be more like that, this is my data. How have things improved over time? And how has that improvement led to a bigger impact? For instance, I am not interested in telling my leadership that, okay, the SLA breaches have reduced in the last 3 months. What I want to talk about, that is something that they can see in the Excel report or whatever form of reports that you're sharing. What I want to show them is that, okay, because you see, the number of SLA breaches have reduced. One direct impact, efficiency for my teams have increased. What is the other impact? Now, because the number of breaches were low, the cost to company reduced. Companies have to pay for these SLA, OLA breaches. So when the SLA breaches were reduced, again, that was a direct cost to company saved there. You can put in that money into more innovation into the ITSM areas. But then that was still a bigger business outcome that your leadership would have understood. They will understand everywhere you add in dollar value to your processes and your operations. Your SLA breach is reduced because your service desk became more efficient. Your service desk became more efficient because because maybe you introduced chatbot capabilities a quarter earlier. So incident deflection was happening. They were getting to work better on lesser number of tickets. So that was easier work for them. So one investment here led to bigger capabilities on the other side. And whatever money you save from there, you can further put it into some other initiative. One thing leads to another. It's more like reinvesting. You are investing in your talent today, which is helping you drive your organization tomorrow. You cannot just be an SLA admin. You have to be an experience coach. I've been talking about it. SLAs, XLAs, they can coexist. but it shouldn't be just SLAs. You cannot just measure that, okay, these are the things that are getting closed, or my overall SLA breach time is this. How is my user experience been is equally important. Your documents should have a self-healing design. Self-serve articles definitely one. There's so many new capabilities that have been introduced where your docs actually come in with a self-healing design. Let's say my service desk recommended me a particular self-serve article. If it worked good for me, my AI can take that input that, okay, if this document helped me with this particular case, yes, I'll add it to my relevant documents for this particular issue. If in case it does not, the AI can, or the chatbot can ask me the reason why do you not find it a relevant article? Does it not have the right information, or is there anything else? I can put in my reasons accordingly. The AI or the intelligent capabilities can further categorize that document accordingly so that it helps me serve my customers better the next time. Approvals acting as an AI risk advisor, we've talked about it. Do not consider approvals as just yes or no. They are actually measurable outcomes produced by your AI capabilities, the operational intelligence that runs at the back end, which considers these approvals that as potential areas of risk. That is why it is introducing a human in the loop there. Next thing is future vision brings us to the last poll of the day now. These are the last poll, please. Thank you. In the next 3 years, where do you think your ITSM function will have the most impact in your organization? What do you think? Where do you want to take your organization? Do you want to be more predictive? Do you want to focus on user experience? Or just like we were reading about it earlier, do you want to expand it beyond IT? Or would you still want to, focus on your metrics and your data?
I love this question. And there are several people who have said other. If you would please chat in what it is.
Yeah, let's read through the answers.
There are people are still very actively answering. My hope for a beautiful day today would be that everyone answers this particular question because I am truly interested.
Yeah. What do you think? What would you want the future of ITSM to be?
Experience improvement in XLAs. I mean, this is a very strange thing for a lady who owns a company called ITSM Academy, but we need to drop the IT because service management is not just about IT anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so I actually was telling someone the other day, I wrote a whole blog about it, and then I thought, maybe I don't say that in a blog, but I can say that in a webinar with all of our people here.
Uh-huh.
So it's all important. It's all changing as you talked so eloquently about. But to me, it all is about the experience because, the stats that you're getting from your metrics tell one story. But if, if a call gets rerouted 3 times and some other things happen, but in the end, the perception is that my interaction with the desk or, with the team was a good use of my time,
Mm-hmm.
adding that data, that level of experience, how that interaction made me feel is so important. And we're starting, a lot of the organizations that we work with are getting there, and they're learning some really interesting things, and I talk a lot to people about surveys and when they're triggered. Is it the end of every transaction? Is it every third transaction? Are you doing rolling quarterly? And when I talked to a large insurance company yesterday about it. They told me they haven't looked at the questions in 4 years. Well, a
Uh,
lot has changed in 4 years. And what I see when I work with people on their surveys is I see a lot of, we're asking the questions that we already know answers to
mhm.
because it makes us feel good because we want to have a high rating, right? And we're asking questions. Don't ask a question that you can't act on. don't ask about laptop refresh if you're not going to refresh laptops. And to keep surveys, to write smarter questions so there are less is so important. And I think one of the big keys to the beginning of a good experience management program.
Exactly. Like yesterday only, I was talking to a friend and he was telling me that since the last 7 or 8 years, he's been using the credit cards from that one same company because he likes their users' experience. He's like,
Mhm.
okay, the service desk is phenomenal. Every time I have questions, I can just quickly type in, get my responses. So they're doing a wonderful job there. So I just don't want to switch my credit card providers. So that's the kind of impact these smaller things, again, it is all ITSM if we think about it. And these are the things which drive customer trust. That is a clear example of customer trust and customer retention as well,
Yep.
leading to bigger.
Stickiness is so important.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's show the results here.
Oh, that's a close call. Wow, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, in terms of predictive operations and automation, I kind of consider it as something important, but I also feel that it's something which is going to become integral to ITSM because just the way we have incidents, whenever you talk about ITSM, first thing that you think about is incident requires change, right? Similarly, I feel in the time to come, whenever you say ITSM, you're going to talk about predictive operations, automation, all of those smaller capabilities being introduced into these incident problem change, etc. For experience improvement and XLAs, again, I hope that this is something that we do see in the future. We've just talked about, Lisa and I, we've just talked about the importance of these things as well. Business wide service expansion, again, that is important. This is not something where technology will have a good role to play. It's more around how do you perceive the already available things. If in case I'm building a particular capability, I might be keeping IT in mind, but it's not that those capabilities, they are not scalable across different business units. I myself, I've also worked as a developer, and there were certain capabilities which were not available for the other business units. So I kind of replicated those same capabilities. So it's not something where you have to think about ITSM as just something just because it has IT, so it's going to just serve IT. Data driven decision making for leadership, again, this is important. It's just that you have to, again, there's a big role that you play in the decision making for leadership. You can provide your leadership with reports at all times. You can load them with 100 reports, or you can provide them with just 2 or 3 basic reports. You can meet with them every other week or every other quarter. But just like we talked about it, your data has to show the impact that your processes are making. Your data has to narrate its story, that okay, why are these numbers important? If these numbers have changed, why have they changed, for the good or for the worse? And then talk further about it, so that the leadership understands the importance of those KPIs from where those numbers are getting derived. And for those of you who have typed in other, I'd like to know more about it. Compliance.
John replied for us. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Compliance. The project where I'm working is leave adjacent, so compliance or policy legal is immense. Of course, legal compliance, it has a big role to play in the ITSM as well. There are certain areas where you can touch base or you can integrate legal, both with your ITSM, even with the AI capabilities coming in play, compliance is going to play a big role. It's just that I do not feel that the impact will be direct, but it will more or less be involved in your bigger ITSM processes.
So we do have a couple questions. I'm getting them together for you right now. So Nicholas, hello, Nicholas. It is good to know that you're here. Nicholas is someone who is trained. He is an XLA champion. He took
Mhm.
our Essence of Experience class years back, and
Mhm.
he's looking to refocus on the basics. Slow scope creep has happened in their current ITSM tool, and I'm evaluating what do we need. But there's not so much a question in that. I just realized. So, Nicholas, if you have a more of a question, please feel free to chat that in.
I mean, in terms of scope creep, I'd say scope creep is common, but beyond ITSM, I feel that project management also has a bigger role to play there. There's a reason why, whenever we start any project, we create those defined processes in play, that this is our scope of work, these are the number of resources involved, and we establish all of those governance boards in play as well, so that these scope creeps could be controlled. So you really don't have a way forward here, but backtracking things is always a good option to understand the root cause for the scope creep. But yes, if in case you have any particular question, feel free to drop it in the chat. I just have one or two more slides, and then I'm going to take questions. The last 5 minutes
Okay,
would be done.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for providing me with your valuable inputs there in the poll. So, the future vision pretty much looks like that. We are moving towards more self healing workflows. It's not just that processes will be just automated, we'll try to make them more autonomous, more independent, so that they learn from their own experiences. Just like I said, AI is the future. AI thrives, AI lives on the data that is being fed to them. We get tired when we get more information. AI becomes more effective when it gets more information. It doesn't think, it doesn't stop, and that's the direction that we would like to head in. So self-healing workflows appear to be, a work of the future. We are still integrating a lot of different activities into ITSM. We try to move forward towards more autonomous onboarding activities as well, to reduce human interaction as much as possible. But then again, as much as possible, it's never going to be 100%. Just like we were talking about compliance and governance will have a big role to play. We need governance boards even today when we're just dealing with basic data, basic processes. Come the age of intelligent automation, governance will have a bigger role to play. We already have a lot of governance frameworks already introduced, but beyond that, there would be certain policies and compliance things that we would need to introduce explicitly for AIs. And of course, there would be invisible, intelligent, trusted future that we can build for ITSM. Call to action. Nobody's going to give you a seat at the strategic table. That's the perceived notion for ITSM. We have to change it. We have to evaluate our current state. Even if you have just started, or you are at the pilot phase today, or you are very mature, either ways, just build your goal, see where you are at today, what are the different gaps, and go step by step. Nobody has to go big bang that I am going to change the face of ITSM tomorrow itself. It's always a journey. Just understand your journey, create smaller milestones, audit it often, so that you understand where you are at today, and how much is the gap between your today and your desired goals. Track your experience metrics, they are important, they will be even more important in the future. Your basic data, we were talking about data driving decisions. SLAs, XLAs, both are equally important for your data driving decisions. Pilot AI more responsibly. Again, just because you have the budget to deploy AI capabilities, just don't go ahead deploy all of it together. There's always an approach. First, understand whether you are ready, your teams are ready. How's your data like? How are your processes like? Should you first clean up before you deploy any of those capabilities? Are there any legal obligations? Talk to all the different teams together before you uh, decide to pilot this. It is the responsibility of an IT leader, IT manager, to bring all of these different stakeholders together, understand their pain areas, and then focus on implementing of these AI capabilities. It's not just because my leadership told me that okay, we have the budget, and you know what, we'll just reskill the service desk, so let's deploy AI capabilities. That would be a bad way to deploy AI. I'm sure you are all great leaders, but again, because we are talking about it, it is my responsibility to share that info with you. And of course, reskill your teams. By reskilling, I don't mean that they have to learn a new skill altogether. Cross skill them, help them understand the importance of service designs, of building customer journeys, all those things, these minor things that come hand in hand with your core ITSM processes are the things that you can look into. You just have to understand one thing: the future of ITSM is not about efficiency, it is about how indispensable are those processes to your overall organizational goals. And at the heart of ITSM lies people. It was people, it will be people, no matter how much automation comes in. And when you keep the interests of these people into play, both your customers and your employees together, there is no room, there's no limit to the amount of innovation and the amount of things that you can achieve where this single capability that we called as the IT service management. And there we go. I leave the room open for questions and answers. Thank you very much for holding up. And yes, let's reimagine ITSM together.
I love it. That was a fantastic presentation. And I'll add one thing to what you just said is correct. It is not about efficiency. And it, but I think organizations that really that got it, that had happy customers and happy employees, understood it was about being efficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being effective. Because you
Mm-hmm.
can be efficient and not be effective. So
Correct.
I think this move toward experience management is it takes that effective to a whole new level, right? Because again, how does it make me
Yes.
feel? Yeah.
100%. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, a lot of people have also, besides just me, have loved this webinar. Let me quickly say, because we're almost at the top of the hour, we have a few questions. If anyone
Yes.
has any more, please feel free to throw them in. Um, September's webinar, we've got some ideas, but we haven't locked it in yet. October, Simone Jo Moore is going to come in with a fantastic presentation, Idle Reimagined. So we're trying to. Well, we always try to bring in presenters that are going to give us all some fresh, actionable ideas. And that continues. And then we will be taking December off. And then in January, as we do every year, the amazing Donna Knapp will be presenting the January 15th, 2026, which will be here like that. The state of ITSM and ... AI, I'm sure, and experience both will be part of that presentation as well. Nina just put in the chat, if any of you are PMI members or PeopleCert Plus members, and you want to download your letter of attendance to use that for submitting, you do get one professional development CPD hour for joining us today. And if you are a PeopleCert Plus member, there is a 3-year timeline. So log in today and do it. And it was a great presentation. I'm glad you were here, Adrian. All right. So my question, I have a question actually.
Okay.
When you first started talking about AI, you had a stat up that said 60% of tier one being, is that, where does that data pull from? Is that ServiceNow
No.
customer base wide?
So I had one record that said 24%. That was ServiceNow. Then there was another one that said 60%. That is a generic quadrant report. I can share those links with you, like from where that information comes in. So
Yeah,
that
that would be great.
only ServiceNow, that's generic data with, working across different types of AI capabilities.
There's a stat, I've seen it everywhere from 38 to 52% of all incidents are never logged anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the rise of AI, and as you were talking about your friend, there are some support issues that I have complete confidence that their bot is going to get me where I need to be, or awfully close to where I need to be. And there are other ones that I have legitimately figured out what I need to say to get to an agent. So there's a lot of disparity between what that experience looks like.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said, right? You need that sort of a handshake. Otherwise, it's just going to be garbage in, garbage out. You don't maintain your data. Your data is redundant. Your knowledge articles, your self serve articles, they're all old articles. Your agents or your chatbots, they're going to provide the same information to users. Users, at the end of the day, if they don't get the information, they'll end up frustrated. So, one thing or the other, it's going to connect back to your user experience.
And this is an interesting, John asks, is friction just another way to say satisfaction?
Uh, to an extent, because sometimes I'm just looking for something very basic, but the kind of experience that I have, I won't really call it um, a failure. I'd rather call it a friction. Like I was giving that example, I get my workaround, but still, there's a degree of friction involved, right? I had to maybe go through a different range of knowledge articles. I may had to switch from a chatbot to an agent. So to an extent, I was satisfied that I got the answer. But again, it's not 100% about user satisfaction. It is also about the time that you put in or the expectations that you have. So satisfaction is kind of uh, an abstract term that we use here. It can relate back to the user frictions, but again, it's just an element of user friction.
I am putting back in the chat the book link. I'm buying the book. I loved what I heard today, and I'm excited to see people thinking about the right ways to modernize service management. So I'm a big fan, I gotta say. You
Thank
have a
you.
new groupie, and probably more than just me by all the people who are saying how much they appreciated the presentation. I will say this: last month Zachary, he's with Happy Signals. He
Mhm.
presented for us on, and of course, a lot of it was around experience because Happy Signals is an experience tool. I love the way they do personas, and
Okay.
he covers that really well in the presentation, which is up on our YouTube channel, which I put in as well. But it's YouTube ITSM Academy presents. And if any of you are really thinking about experience and particularly thinking about personas, I strongly recommend that you go back and listen to what Zachary has to say because I think there's something really genius in what they're doing. So,
100%.
um, all right, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. So I loved it. Thank you again, and I'll be bringing you back like April of next year. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Maybe your
100%.
second book will be ready. All right,
Well,
thank you guys all so much for joining us.
thank you,
As I
everybody.
said,
And once again,
September 19th is our next. Go ahead.
okay, September 19th is the next one coming in from ITSM Academy. And once again, thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you very much, Nina, for getting me on board and all this. Loved it. Thank you.
Loved it. You knocked it out of the ballpark, lady. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.